On the 7th day of July in 1947, the Walker Air Force Base, or Roswell Army Airfield, RAAF, rediscovered what appeared to be, in the words, a flying saucer or flying disc from a ranch in Chaves Country, New Mexico. The rancher in question, a William MakRalston, found a cluster of and reported stats rubber strips of tinfoil, rather rough than paper sticks, and tape, the materials that were confiscated and brought to the military base. The following day, July 8th, a press release that was a new issued stating that the materials that were of that of a flying disc. However, this report was quickly retracted, exchanged for favorable evidence of a crashed weather balloon. The reasoning for this change is unknown. However, theories attempt to fill in the blanks. One speculation suggests that the report of such a discovery that would lead to a mass hysteria, akin to the Orson Welles broadcast in the late 30s. Even so, this claim has never been addressed by the officials publicly. Despite MakRalston's conflicting words, this side of the history was quickly dropped, and the weather balloon expansion was hailed in the case of a closed resolution of what occurred back on July 7th. Resurfacing in the late 70s and again in 1994, the story of Roswell was altered to claims of UFOs, identifying flying objects, and an alternative hypothesis with the weather balloon, that being nuclear surveillance balloon from Project Mogul, an operation helmed by the U.S. Air Force to detect the Soviet atomic blasts. Furthermore, an eyewitness reports of alien bodies being retrieved from a nearby area were chalked up as an Air Force test dummies, and the story was dropped again, being left up in the imaginations of conspiracy theorists of ufologicals alike. The Roswell incident has become one of a joke over the last 30 or so years. Sparkling pop culture depictions of aliens and UFOs, often tongue-in-cheek of nature, and threatening those who believe to be claims about as sane as flat earthers. There is, however, another notion that had been floating around for the past 50 or so years. This one is far more complicated, but nevertheless more competent, known to the Roswell theists. The premise starts as follows: a commonwealth between the deniers and the so-called truthers alike. The object retrieved on July 7, 1947, in Roswell, New Mexico, was a balloon weather from the Project Mogul. That is a mere weather balloon that was irrelevant. The reported bodies were merely dummies, and the entire thing was not a crash UFO cover-up. It is from here where the theory takes a sharp turn from the norm, as according to the Thesis, the claims from the Roswell, and likewise those from other UFO incidents from around the globe, are merely fabrications made by the external trials. Consider it a moment. Would these advanced, otherworldly entities from the outer regions of space blunder in such a way that would attack such an oversight that would cause their voyeurism to go blandly noticed by the residents of our planet? Does the low-flying and obvious nature reported UFOs seem utterly convenient? Does a spacecraft made of proper paper and tinfoil and tape seem archaic? Do the sightings of the green men or crop circles strikes you as you're glaring at morons to allege cryptic nature of these alien beings? The Thesis is since a conspiracy of conspiracies. The idea is yes, the Roswell incident, as well as the other alleged alien sightings, are hoaxes. However, the threat of the extraterrestrial beings is still imminent. In fact, the theory suggests that we're all too late to act against their invasion. Here is what preconceived notion of what the alien invasion looks like, whatever from mentally ill truthers or science fiction films and literature. However, the truth is often departure from fictitious propaganda, and yet still at the same time, The truth is hidden within these myths. On the 9th of September 1961, approximately 10:30 p.m., Barney and Betty Hill, residents of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, claimed to be abducted by extraterrestrials while driving home from vacation. The couple reported seeing a UFO hovering over their vehicle, immediately began speeding home, where they reported the feelings of impulse, odd sensations, including vivid dreams of gray-skinned creatures and metal discs. The vehicle they sped home had noticeable circles etched around the metallic substance along the trunk. A moving a compass near the symbols caused the needle to berserk. Betty Hill also noted a pinkish powder-like substance stained on her dress. Later, under hypnosis, Betty would describe the near her of shown to her an external trials homeworld, the binary star system, known as Zeta Reticuli. According to the journalist Cortland Dykeston Barnes, Ernest Bryan, 73% of the alleged alien sightings refer to these as Zeta Reticulans, also known as the Greys. While these accounts have bits of truth sprinkled throughout, the theory suggests that much of the abduction was carried out as the seemed significance of the purposeful. What we are dealing here is not with simple-minded primitives. Our humans assumed being ourselves somewhat primitive, despite our countless advancements. No, these entities were vastly more intelligent than us. Realizing that the best way to invade and is not the sheer force, ray guns, or war of world systems walkers, but rather forcing our species into extinction through self-genocide. The first notions of this idea came from a 1966 autopsy of a 44-year-old Conrad Dennison, a patient from the New Mexico hospital for the insane. Today, this facility is known for the New Mexico Behavioral Health Institution, located in the town of Las Vegas, New Mexico, not to be confused with the city of Nevada of the same name. Dennison has been rather unfortunately scrubbed from any records of the institution. No mention of his name or symptoms available anywhere in any forms or documents. His case, however, remains one of the cornerstones of the Thesis. Admitted to the hospital as 65 as a schizophrenic, Dennison claimed to have been abducted by external trials. Reporting the constant migraines and nightmares, Dennison was transferred to a psychiatrist, Eric Ralston, Ph.D. Ralston, who had a background in lobotomy. Claimed that Dennison had a cyst on his frontal lobe, requiring surgery just to remove it. After repeated sessions, which Dennison claimed to have been seeing pale human-like beings, he admitted to having killed his 42-year-old wife, Carleen Dennison. When she asked where her body was located, Dennison claimed that he didn't know, because they were controlling me the whole time as I was asleep. Despite a confession to murder, the implications of insanity met with a lengthy trial, the one Dennison could never see. As months later, in November of 1966, Conrad Dennison died due to complications of his lobotomy. During the operation, Ralston made a note of a small organic bulb attached to the frontal lobe. This globe, while organic, was unlike anything the hospital had seen. Undetected by X-rays, the cyst-like globe had been surgically attached to Dennison's brain. Although the surgery presumably attached, it was theorized by quite advanced, considering the methods used in the 21st century are not capable of replacing seamless precision of transplant. Any further information regarding Conrad Dennison is unknown, as the files of his case were mysteriously removed from existence. Even stranger, perhaps, that Conrad and Charmaine's son, Kenny Dennison, conceived a year before Charlene's murder, and 1 year after the alleged abduction, was arrested in 1982 for robbing a convenience store. When reapproached by responding officers, Dennison threw a firearm and was killed on sight. During the autopsy, pathologists noted that the same cyst-like globe on Kenny Dennison's frontal lobe, as if somehow the implant was genetically passed down from Conrad to his son. Kenny's adoptive parents and by name have been obscured for privacy reasons, but rumor has it the family was not violent, and Kenny's behavior was quite unlike for him. Violent crime rates have steadily increased over the past 50 years, while not genocide like a long shot, but the outbursts are, perhaps birthing the pains for something more to come, not driven by rage, malice, or envy, but mental illness. Illness that can be estimations, has been passed down by generations, illness that is not infected the mind. In the more recent turn of events, the following automobile incident in Springdale, Utah, on April 19th of 2013. A 22-year-old college student, Sean Phillips, was arrested for violently stabbing the driver of the other vehicle, a 77-year-old Nathan Moffett. Despite having no record of violence, Phillips was later found to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the Highland Ridge Psychiatric Treatment Center. 3 weeks before the stabbing, Philip's mother claimed that he went missing for a period of 2 days, during which Philip had lost his cell signal. Upon his return home, Phillips couldn't recall what he had been, but noted occasional headaches and periodic outbursts of screaming. In the interview with Philip's roommate at the Highland Ridge, Philip's erratic behavior was described as inhuman and weird. During one of the conversations, Philip confided his roommate, claiming the thin, gray people were in his head. Moments later, Philip's roommate described Philip's eyes going dead before he lashed out at a fellow patient. Phillips would receive 13 therapy sessions before passing away in his room on December 23, 2013. As reported by his roommate, Phillips' final words were, "Tell my mom I'm sorry. I didn't hurt that man. They made me do it." Phillips proceeded to suffocate himself with a pillow. These acts of self-harm were unique. However, the incidents and crimes that led such an atrocious deaths were not self-inflicted. Even more troublesome, there are some cases which the offender is subdued and harmed, many times killed by others, as this fearfully was the motive of being things all along. Over the last decade, UFO sightings have decreased. While public interest in alien life will always remain stimulated, the shift from humanoid greys, bacterial water based on Mars, has occurred, resulting in the intelligent Roswell-type aliens being largely classified as fiction. Some theorize that the reasoning for this change is a part of a larger plan, as in the minds of some theorists and some extraterrestrials, and a hand want nothing more than to their existence to be disregarded. Roswell was their idea. The UFOs may be theirs, but only toys perhaps, that they killed and their true nature must be tucked away. They're watching us all. For some in our heads, they want us to buy into the line so they don't exist. It appears that even we too have been infatuated, as the only way to discredit the theory is to treat in ludicrous fiction, invading the truth and parading as nonsense. You may be reading these theses in fiction-based catalog. Please consider what you are reading is not fiction.